Hi, I'm Daniel Linder, marriage family therapist, addiction specialist, and relationship trainer, practicing in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 30 years. I'm also the creator of the relationship model of addiction. The focus and the theme of today's video blog is setting and maintaining clear boundaries in a relationship. So let me preface that by saying that my understanding of the recovering challenges are basically anyone on a path of recovery is on a process of, it's a transitional journey. And it's really a journey about getting out, learning how to get out of unhealthy relationships that feed addiction and dependency and self-immersion and self-oppression and suppression, and get into relationships that nourish and support recovery and self-growth and self-emergence and self-reliance. What I found is that perhaps the biggest challenge that so many people face along this transition process is the inability to set and maintain clear boundaries in a relationship. That's understanding what that means and how to do it. I want to tell you just a couple of basic overriding principles that the whole relationship model of addiction and recovery, the recovery process, is about. First two principles. Principle number one is that the most important relationship is with yourself. That's number one. Number two is, I want to tell you what a relationship consists of, and what it was defined as. A relationship consists of two separate autonomous entities. We'll call them selves, me and you. What does it mean? What is that? When you have a relationship with yourself, what that means is that you are aware, tuned in, connected to yourself, and that at any given moment, in any relationship relating situation, and whenever you're with another person, you are aware of what you're thinking, feeling, wanting, or needing. You are tuned into your experience. And you could put that out there, and you want to put that out there. You want to represent yourself. You want to have a voice. You want to express what your truth is. And you do so. That's a priority. That's important for you to do that. You bring yourself into any relationship encounter you're in. It's being fully present. Along with having a relationship with yourself, there's also a sense of acceptance, knowing yourself, loving yourself, and having this kind of internal sense of worthiness and being okay. And you're not depending on someone else to validate that worth or your well-being. You're a constant. You're feeling okay in a way that does not depend on other people. So that's what having a relationship with yourself means. And in terms of a relationship comprised of two separate autonomous entities, two separate selves, me and you, what I'm talking about there is that there are me and you in a relationship. Those two entities need to be defined in order for there to be intimacy and a real healthy connection. One can't depend on the other. Autonomous means self-reliant, self-based, self-located, and so you're really relying on your own internal process. You're relying on your own awareness of your own experience that dictates what you say, how you conduct yourself in these relating encounters. And both people are doing that. Both people are able to tune into themselves. Okay. So then also, the biggest problem that I've seen in bringing this forth in relationships is codependency. Most people in recovery revert back into codependent modality, a codependent mode of relating. And there are a lot of people also who are codependent. That is an addiction unto itself. And so what is codependency? It's very important to understand what codependency is all about. And that is basically this. If you're codependent, your primary focus whenever you're with someone is on what they're feeling, the other person is feeling, wanting, and needing. And that takes precedence. You are more concerned about their experience and what's going on with them than you are yourself. Furthermore, your well-being rests on responding to what you perceive their needs and feelings are. So you're always in a mode of wanting to make them feel better, solve their problem, so you have some purpose. Your whole existence is about needing to be needed, and your sense of worth is based on your ability to solve the other person's problems and make them feel better. So how setting and maintaining clear boundaries in a relationship is the practice that breaks that codependency up, where you, instead of taking care of the other person on automatic and unconscious as you've been doing all your life, you are able to tune into yourself and establish yourself, and that becomes a priority. So it's setting and maintaining clear boundaries in a relationship is the way that you practice this process of reprioritization that is necessary if you're a recovering addict or recovering codependent, and that is learning to put your needs first, your feelings first, taking care of yourself in a relationship, and operating in your own interests first and primarily, as opposed to always depending and deferring and taking care of the other person first. Okay, so it's a complete paradigm shift. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk about an example, a situation here with a client who was expressing difficulties around this area, around setting and maintaining clear boundaries in a relationship. Jay is a born and raised master problem eliminator. Okay, so how did he get to be a problem eliminator? When I asked him this, he was wondering, he doesn't know, he had this struggle about setting and maintaining boundaries because he's always taking care of his partner, B, and he was just becoming aware of his pattern of doing this. So I was asking, how did he get like this? Do you have any sense of where this was sourced or where this came from? And so he started thinking about it, and then what was coming up for him was memories of his mother. And he was sharing that his overall sense of his mother, that whenever in the family there was someone had a problem or was feeling in a sort of feeling pain or feeling discomfort, upset about something, his mother would go to any lengths to solve the problem, make the person feel better, eliminate the problem. So that's how he got to be a problem eliminator. He learned from the best. He learned, and he just internalized this way of relating, and that became his way of relating. So in the process of the therapy, he was learning also, he's really connecting the dots of what I was sharing before about what goes on with codependency and codependence, is that his well-being was really depending on the extent and his ability to make other people feel better when they were upset and to solve whatever problem they were having. So not only was his whole existence predicated on that, but what would happen when he wasn't able to solve the problem or make the other person feel better, like in the case of B. He happens to be married now to someone who, for a couple of years he's married, and his partner, B, is very different than he is in terms of how she processes emotions and what her issues and struggles are. And she tends to be very consumed in her own depression and her own struggles and her own issues, and is always bringing them out. And she's more self-centered. She's more focused on her own issues and feelings. And he was, being a problem eliminator, he was more outer-centered, focused on her. And so whenever she had an upset, he would be in a mode to go in and solve the problem. And if he wasn't able to do it, then what would happen is the feelings of powerlessness would be unbearable, and his own issues of inadequacy, feelings of inadequacy, not being good enough, self-doubt would take over. He'd also begin to have questions about the relationship. Maybe there's something wrong with the relationship if he can't get himself to feeling and get to this better feeling place to solve her problems. So he'd be riddled with these doubts. So the question is now, we see the dynamic. He's the problem eliminator. And also, and I wanted to share with you that another connection that he made, this big aha experience, is that he began to realize that in a previous relationship, which ended, part of the reason why it ended was because he was having an affair, but there were problems in the relationship, obviously, before he had the affair. But this led to him being in problem eliminator mode without being aware of it, would make him not have a life. He was always taking care of the other person. He was never really getting attention, sharing himself, getting his needs taken care of. He had no voice, he had no existence, and so eventually it became so unbearable for him that he would go out of a relationship looking for another relationship just so he could have a voice, just so he could express himself, just so he could just say what his experience is and bring that to the table so he could have a presence. So he certainly didn't want to repeat that again. So he's really struggling. What do I do? What do I do? What am I going to do? A few points, few suggestions that I made for him as communications for him to practice. One is, it's all predicated on him being aware and mindful. So he first has to be tuned in enough to himself to when his girlfriend, his wife, is depressed or upset or lonely or sad or scared or angry or whatever's going on with her. He's at first to say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to solve the problem. And whenever you're upset, and I know that I get triggered and I go into this problem eliminator mode, and I don't want to go because I get checked out, I disconnect from myself, I don't have a life, and that's not good for me. I get empty and I get full of feelings of inadequacy, and I'm not a happy camper. So that's one thing I wanted to tell you. Another thing is that I'm not where you are. I'm feeling, I have my day, I'm working, I'm pretty upbeat, I'm feeling good, and then you're, in this completely different place, and I feel obligated to kind of drop what I'm doing, leave where I am, and go where you are, and I know that that's not good for me, and it's not good for you. So I just need to put that out there to just kind of make it clear that when you have an issue, I just need to have some space. I need to have some space and autonomy so I can have my own experience separate from yours, different from yours, and still be okay. Really helpful if you could tell me that when you're upset, that you're aware that it's your struggles, it's your feelings, and it's for you to work out, and you know that. You know it's not for me. I want you to remind me. It would be really helpful for you to remind me that it's not your deal. You could be where you're at. I'm responsible for my own issues and I'm working them out on my own, but I just want to be able to share them with you, just to put that out. Hopefully in the process of sharing them with you, I can clear them out and kind of get to another place so I could be more present, me and you together. But the thing for him to say is I want you to establish that you do not have any expectations for me to do anything other than to be with you and to be where I am with you, and it's okay to be in two separate places. Something like that. So that is an example of what setting and maintaining clear boundaries in a relationship looks like. So I hope this is helpful to you. I really appreciate it if you write some comments. If you have any comment or question, write it below. But what would be really great is if you have any struggles, if this makes you more aware of any challenges or struggles that you have or questions that you have about setting and maintaining clear boundaries in your relationship or relationships, I'd really like it for you to put that there so I could respond and we can engage in a continuing dialogue. So until then, remember, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life. Till then.